Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friends and Authors Live with indie authors Rosalinda Román and A.K. Vyas. I'm Rosalinda. That is A.K. Vyas, Ash, as his friends call him. How are you today, Ash? We're just doing this on the fly. Usually we do some prep, but we were both very busy today. So we're here. We're a minute or two late, but we're glad if you're here in the studio live, meaning if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Substack, put a note in the comments and we will see it live in the studio. So hello.
Hi there.
How is everything?
Yeah,
how's life?
Busy, but things are a little cooler. So, it's very weather dependent here, but can't complain right now.
Awesome. So what do you have going on today? How's your author stuff going?
It's good. It's busy. I haven't been writing as much as I'd like. I've been working on other aspects of it. I guess you'd call it marketing.
Yeah.
But
you've been very busy in that realm. I've noticed there's a ton of new content, and you have your A+ content, in fact, looks amazing. I just was looking at that for the Eagle Feather, your series. And if you don't mind, I'd love to show it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And credit should go where credit is due, and that would be to Blake Hudson.
Okay.
And, Blake was helping, some author friends, with their Facebook ads and that sort of thing. And he did something really interesting and he wrote about it to let everyone know what he did. And I followed suit. And I thought it was interesting. And that's what led to the A+ changes and a number of other changes. And it involves a bit of AI, so forgive me for that, Rosalinda. But so
I don't have a problem with you using AI. I just have a problem with me using AI.
So, but his point was this: that Facebook ads are getting tougher and more competitive, and he's one of the few people having success with his method. And so when he's helping an author earlier in his or her journey. One of the things he does is says, well, let's look at your ads. Let's look at you. But first, let's take a step back, look at your product, right? Look at it from a business sense. Like, let's look at your covers. Let's look at what it is about your books and series that seem to resonate with your readers. And then let's also look at, some of the technology changes and how books are being discovered these days. Relative to the past. So if you take all of those things into account, the search engines, the GEO search engines, and the Amazon algorithm, A10, whatever thing is called, they value A+ content, and they really value reviews in trying to figure out what your story's about and how to match that with the appropriate reader. So what Blake suggested, I thought was actually very clever, and I basically followed suit. Blake went on to Amazon for this author he was helping, and he scraped every 4- and 5-star review for the series that they were marketing. Right, and so
show a shot of share without audio. I was just going to show them who Blake is that you're talking about. This is Blake Hudson.
Yeah.
He's got the 13 steps of Facebook ads, and he was on our show a few months back. And after that, you basically took his advice and have applied it to your own author work. Just for people who are new to our show, that is who you're talking about.
Yes, he's a very savvy guy who runs Facebook ad campaigns at a very high level, for his family. And friends. So basically, for example, if you have, a series that's established, you might have, you have thousands of reviews and you have, a 4- and 5-star reviews. You probably have a meaningful, 200 or 300, something like that, where people actually took the time to leave a review as opposed to a rating. And so that's actually statistically enough, right? So basically what I did was I went on and copied all the reviews, and then asked, one of the systems to analyze reviews, look for patterns in common, what readers really liked, what readers really didn't like, and there were a few interesting things there, but for the most part, it was reasonably spot on. But taking those reviews, the next step was, okay, looking at the A+ content and using some of this feedback for like what moves people, what people really liked, what stirs emotion in people about your books, and just kind of show on to the best that you can on your Amazon page, what your series are about, right? So there was a bit of an evolution.
Showing you right now, this is Ash's Eagle Feather Saga, the book one, and this is what he's talking about is the stuff that you find below. So there's kind of the blurb and the stuff you see above the fold, if you will, and then as you scroll down, we've talked about this on a past episode. It's basically real estate that if you don't claim it, Amazon will use it for advertising other people's stuff. So Ash taught us on a previous episode here on Friends and Authors Live that you claim that by putting your own content on there. And it's just like you wouldn't, if you're selling a house, you wouldn't put information about another house in your prime real estate on the front lawn, right? You would want them to know how to buy your house. So that's essentially what this is.
Yes, but it's that is what it is, but it's actually evolved significantly. Like, if we could show my previous A+ content for the series, it might show you some of the changes.
Is that? Tell me, just direct me and tell me which. Do I go back to the main?
No, that was the slide I think I sent you earlier.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly, right? So up until a week ago, for the past couple of years, this was my A+ content, right? And its job, as I saw it, was, okay, take up the real estate, show the series, something eye-catching, show the books, and, that was functional, right? And so, it was fine. The series, is doing well, but that's what this was, right? What we're doing now, if you go back to the landing page, it's much more different. It's much more different in that.
Give me a second. All right, so let me slow down for a second because we've got some weird thing in StreamYard. They just added some hearts over, and maybe you disappear. So just give me 1 second. Gotta love tech when it works, and when it doesn't, it can be maddening. I don't know where this subscribe thing came from. So just stand by, please. There we go. Okay. Now, what you're saying, sorry, just to kind of backpedal, this is what your A+ content looked like. I kind of gave away the lead or the story. Basically, this is what it looked like before you did all of this analysis and really doubled down on making it work for GEO and for your specific series, and not just in other words, this is more static. If that's it was functional, right? I mean, it took up real estate. It mentioned the series, it mentioned the books, and it had the kind of the tagline or the subtitle to the series. But sure.
the new content is much more in depth and much more strategic, and I can take you through it and show you what it's designed to do.
Now we're going back to that. Okay. So one screen back. And again, this is the top, and then you scroll down, and this is where you find the A+ content. Okay.
So if you go to the top panel of the A+ content, right, So the idea is what we talked about, in the past, is if you have a series, or, ideally what you want to do is you will kind of want to create a theme park, right? Like, you go to Disney, then you go to Epcot, and so you want, viewers who, it's hard to get a viewer, a reader, and if you get a reader who, goes through your series, you want to show them the whole world. Like, you're basically, what we're targeting and you're trying to do is kind of build a world, right? So if you look at the top panel, right? So it shows, and this is for the eagle feather. It shows the eagle feather, right? And then in the bottom left, there's something personal about me, and that I wrote the original book for my son, right?
Right.
And then there's a bit of a tease, about some of the elements that are in it. There's nature and that sort of thing. An author picture, right? So people have an idea. There's a picture of me in Amazon, but another picture there. And then as you scroll down, now each of these panels are the largest panel you're allowed to have for Amazon, and you're only allowed to have 5 of these. So this is taking up massive amounts of real estate, which I'm fine with because it's my real estate, because it's my landing page. Right. Okay. So if they want to sneak something in on me, they're going to have to work hard, because below this is my interviews and reviews. So the second page is just, but the first page kind of is showing a bit of who I am.
Yeah, and it's nice because in one, like, you literally see so much of who you are, what the book's about, why, like, the backstory is in there, why you wrote it, and then teasers for what they're going to get if they read it, just in one quick view. So that's really well done.
Yeah, and then there's some text which kind of summarizes the books, but it's more the images than the text. And the next shot kind of shows the base kind of environment that the book, this is a story about a small forest tribe, and then it gets interesting, because if you go further down to the next plate, this is where you're really pushing the series, because it's a series, and each book takes place, in different areas. You have the forest lands, you have what are like the Scottish Highlands, where you're interacting with a certain tribe, and then the kind of the mountain Arctic area where there's another tribe, and then the last 2 books deal with even different tribes, right? So it's kind of like you're building a world. I don't know if it's quite Tolkien or Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but each different book it's not a different world, but it's a different part of this landmass, and it's a different tribe, and so it's basically world building, right? You're showing that the series has all these different tribes, all these different stories, and it's all linked, but it's not just one book, right?
Yeah, that's cool. That's really well done too. It really does make you go, I wonder what that's about. Yeah.
And then, one of the things that came out of scraping the ads was, people really love the wolves. The wolves are a big part, and they're, in a way, like, all the tribes have their strengths and weaknesses, and, they're competing and sometimes, having confrontations, and the edge that the core, the protagonist tribe, the Arok, is, they have the eagle feather, who's brilliant, and they have domesticated wolves, and the wolves do all sorts of things for them.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the eagle feather has grown, and this is another thing that came out of the ads. The first book is actually kind of from the kids' perspective, right, in the series, but the other books really aren't. Right. So a lot of people, some people are, well, this is good, but it's a kid's book, it's a kid's series. I'm like, well, it's really not. The first book is from the kid's perspective, so you build all that up. Now, obviously, I can't tell people that.
Right,
some people get it, some people don't. But I just wanted to show, that, what are some of the core aspects, right? And so, you have the danger of nature, you have the technology of domesticating dogs, and the last shot is basically what the series is about, which is about family, right? Like you have a boy and his dad there, the eagle feather and his father. So, you know,
That's cool.
if you think of that relative to the previous content, like hopefully I'm showing people, you know,
Yeah,
the world.
it's much more descriptive. It makes you feel like you're stepping inside the world that you've created, as opposed to the previous one. This one looks like, I mean, it was good for the time. You were one of the few people I knew that actually claimed that real estate, but it really, this is more like something you would see on a postcard or a little, you know, little picture if you're, you know, setting up at a booth and you're trying to tell people about what your books are. But what you did on the new stuff is just really, it takes it to a whole new level, I have to admit.
Well, that's the idea, because it's becoming more and more competitive, right? To get a decent return on Facebook ads, right?
Yeah.
So if you take the components that are, you know, put yourself in the reader's shoes, okay, they get an ad, whether it's Facebook or Amazon, they click on the ad, they go to your landing page. What do they see? Well, they see your blurb. And if you have A+ content, they're going to scroll down to the A+ content, because this is between the blurb and the reviews. Like usually people are going to go look at the reviews. They're going to look at, you know, positive reviews, a couple negative reviews, because people want the whole story. And so it takes you a while to get down there. And hopefully this is interesting stuff. And once you get past this, then you're into the author interview, where I give something personal about the book, you know, that I was interviewed by a book club.
Yeah.
Right. And so you know, by the time you get all the way down to the reviews and other stuff, hopefully you've had a good amount of exposure to the story and the world I'm trying to show, and hopefully you like it. Right.
I love that
So
you're number 2 in prehistory ebooks. Amazing. And ancient historical fiction. These books, I don't know why people aren't reading them. They should, right? Anyone that's watching this that likes prehistory, you should read these books. They're really great.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So that's kind of been, you know, a focus. I did it for this series. I did it for the Shannon Dumas series, and I customized that. I mean, that's more of a Western, so it's a different audience.
Let's see if we can go there. That's this one.
Yeah. So,
that's just the series page, which is kind of, that's just the 3 books. Yeah, that's a different page. That's not the one.
Yeah, but if you go into the Shannon book, or, you know, the individual book, it should.
Yeah.
There you go. If you go down, I mean, the format's the same. I found a format that I liked. I changed the colors a bit to reflect the genre and the books and stuff. But the format and the layout's the same. So this is kind of the same. Like the first page is a bit different, because this book wasn't written for my son, but, you know, people with Westerns, they like authenticity. And I was an Army brat who grew up in Texas reading, you know, legendary Western authors, Lamore and Kelton. Right. So, you know, hopefully that resonates with Western readers. And then, you know, it's kind of the same thing. If you scroll down, you see, you know, the main character, Shannon Dumas, a guy who's born in, you know, New Orleans, and because of the Civil War, he ends up losing everything and ends up a ranger on the Texas frontier. 2 different worlds, right? He's kind of straddling the whole series. And once again, if you go through the series, you know, there's New Orleans, there's Comancheria, there's Dodge City, and then in Father King, he's chasing the love of his life, trying to find her. And she is moved back to Europe, and he's trying to track her down. And so he ends up in London, and actually ends up in Africa as well.
Interesting.
So there are different, you know, locations as well. And then once again, like the main character, you know, come to fruition. And then also the final panel is the journey. Like, once again, like he was raised by his grandparents. So it's kind of a common theme. Like, you show a young Shane with his grandpa, who he references a ton in the book as, you know, kind of his conscious. You know, but you get the concept. Like, I'm trying to create another world.
Great.
and show you this world as well, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll do that for all my series. I don't know if a ton of people are doing this. I think Blake had a really good idea, but it's getting so competitive with Facebook ads that every edge you can get, if you get a guy or a gal, actually to your landing page, you want to do as much as you can to try to convert them, or at least show them. And even if they get there and they don't buy it, that's fine too. But I just want to show them what it is, so they can make their decision. Right.
Well, and it's cool for you that you have the tools to make that work. What you could have done when you first started A+ content and what you can do with it now is worlds apart, obviously. You can have a picture of Shannon, you can have a picture. So it's, it really does make you think, oh, okay, I know something about this series. I've been, as you're talking, because this is my first time seeing it, I'm thinking about how can I apply that to myself? How can I, what can I do to make the content fit me and, my books and my motif. And I'm already brainstorming. The wheels are turning now, Ash.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. But because, if you look at your series, the first page you could replicate pretty easily, right? For adjusted obviously for you and the specifics of you, and then for your first series, there's endearing things about Kat, and of course, across the the 5 books so far, there's different places, there's different experiences, there's different
each place.
stories.
There's the swamp, there's Valdosta, there's the big city of
exactly, and that's kind of like touching on something that people, for the most part, they don't want an individual book. They want a series. Like like a lot of the comments that I get, people who haven't bought the series are like, "Oh, let me know when it's full or when it's complete, because I want because the whole George R.R. Martin with the Game of Thrones, where he's been promising the 6th book for ever, and it isn't there. Like people are frustrated with that. So, like you have a vibrant series with different locations and stuff, and then the last thing you can maybe show is kind of what I did, is kind of the evolution of the character, like where Kat came from, what her roots were, where she is now and where she ends up. Like, so it you don't need to have as many books and reviews. It helps if you have the reviews, because it kind of gives you an idea. But even if you don't have the reviews, kind of presenting the world that you're building in that manner.
I love it. We have Nathan's here in the house, and he said, I really like that when he was looking at your content. That was really, he's impressed by that. And also he says the wolves remind him of Nala, because one of my characters is based on my German Shepherd. And he said that in this shot, let's show it again, because it's such a beautiful shot of this. Let me share that. Hang on. It's so beautiful. I just want to kind of keep showing it. Share screen, and going back to the eagle feather. This is Shannon. We'll go back to where we were, and he was referring to this shot of what's the white dog's name? I forget. Not dog, wolf.
Cloud.
Yeah, Cloud. This one. And what's this one's name?
Goose.
Goose. Wow. Cloud and Goose.
Yeah.
They're great.
So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to give a quick update on is the draft to digital and the Ingram Spark. The draft to digital for libraries. If you have ebooks out, there's really no excuse I can think of not to sign up for draft to digital and get your books out into the libraries. It doesn't cost you anything except just uploading them.
Yeah.
And there's
How's that been going?
It's going well. And partially it's because I mean, hopefully they're decent books, but partially it's because some of the trad publishers are being really obnoxious, and it gives indies an opportunity.
I love an opportunity.
So, obviously, like if you sell your ebook for $5 or $6, if you sell it to a library, multiple people can use it for a long time, and you're only getting paid on it once. So you can raise your prices. In fact, they expect you to, right? So instead of offering the ebook for $5, people I know are offering them for $25 or $50 to the library, right? And that seems like a lot, except that they can use that book for years. Right. People check it out. I mean, there are different ways to pay you. Some people will pay you like $1 per time, but usually they buy it once and they own it. Now, the reason it's interesting is the trads are doing this too, but the trads are, in my opinion, being a bit, not everybody, but being a bit cagey about it, in that they're giving them books that self-delete after 10 reads. Or something like some arbitrary number like that. So if you pay if you're a library and you buy, the Eagle Feather for $50, you have it forever. If you buy, depending on the trad, a trad book for the same price, after 10 people have checked it out, it deletes itself, and you have to buy another one, right? So
that's what the trad publishers have been doing, and so by not doing that,
I don't make a blanket statement that they're all doing that, but some of them have been doing that, yeah. So,
which if you're a small library with a small budget, like that's really, and even just the management of that is difficult, I would think.
Yeah. So, that's been doing well. The Ingram Spark, that's the other thing that, if you have paperbacks, I mean, this is all on the assumption. I'm in KU. It makes, a ton of my income comes from KU. So, I'm certainly not wide with my ebooks, but with paperbacks, you can be wide, right? Which is where Ingram Spark comes in. So, and once again, it doesn't cost anything. You just have to upload the books. And I suggest, and one thing that people had said was, well, like you can really get shafted on returns, which you can if they decide to return a bunch of books. You can actually just set no returns, which people say doesn't work. I can testify it absolutely does. Like maybe I'd be selling more books if I allowed them to return it to me, but I'm trying to avoid the scenario that happened to an author friend where Amazon actually bought the books from Ingram because they were cheaper, couldn't sell them, and then return them to the author for a big loss. Right.
Yeah. And it's so, I mean, especially when you're first getting started as an indie author, you're really just kind of skirting the line, right? You're not making enough to afford like all of a sudden that hit to come back and all these returns. So I don't disagree with that. Whenever I'm in like a coaching container, for example, I'm thinking of one of my favorite coaches, Serena Hicks, and she has a no refunds policy, period. And she's like, you can't get the coaching. In this case, it would be reading the book and then be like, yeah, I want my money back. Like, no, that's not, and she's upfront about it. And so I don't disagree with that. I think that
I don't think I don't think it's necessarily Ingram, being draconian so much as, I think their model is set up for trad publishers, right? So if you return 200 books to a trad publisher, but the problem is they want the books at such a discount that you actually lose more money on a return than you make on a sale.
Right. So, and we're not talking about the same margins as a trad publisher would have. So it really isn't the same thing. It's a different business model completely.
It is a different business model, yeah. So, but that's one thing that, I would say that, the A+ content, takes a bit of work. It helps if you have, something like Claude, and Canva and Higgsfield or Midjourney to draw the images, but putting your books in libraries with draft to digital, or putting your paperback books if you're in Kindle Unlimited onto Ingram Spark costs you nothing other than like the hour it takes to upload them, and they make money. Right. So,
which I've noticed. I think that's the thing that I'm really learning from you these last few months. You really spent the time to do those little things that kind of we have this to-do list of things that need to be done, and you hunkered down and you got all of that done. You made the paperbacks because when we started the show, you didn't even have paperbacks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and once again, like, I'm on here and I try to share and show stuff that I've done and more, stuff that's working and not working, but it seems like, maybe the focus is more on stuff that's working. Hey, this was one of my biggest mistakes. When I was starting, the advice I took was, it wasn't bad advice, but in hindsight, I wouldn't have taken it. And it was basically like, get your ebooks out, but most people don't make that much money in paperbacks. So you can wait, if your ebooks are making money, then put paperbacks out a year or two down the road. But for me, that turned into 4 years. And it just so happens that my genre is like historical fiction, and especially Westerns, which are, more seasoned readers, I guess is a way to put it. My paperback sales are the same as my ebook sales, right? So I'm kicking myself because I passed, I should have done this much, much earlier. So I make mistakes, live and learn. But I would encourage people to learn from my mistake. And, as soon as you have your book done, the ebook, get the paperback cover done, and, and you can, and part of it too, I guess I should share how I did it. Part of it was just the hassle of converting it from the ebook format to the paperback format. But what I do is I don't do it myself because I think my time's better used elsewhere. But I use Steve Higgs' author service, right, where he has a number of really highly qualified assistants who do nothing but this. Nice. And, they charge an hourly rate that's reasonable. And so basically this lovely.
How does someone find out about that? Because if that's a service that, is that for friends, or does he actually have that as?
It's actually a service available to anybody. I think Craig Martell had a post about it a couple months back in SLA, and you just have to contact them, and they offer they offer almost a full spectrum. They'll convert your ebooks to print. They'll do translations. They can help with audiobooks. I mean, pretty much the whole spectrum, because Steve does everything, right? He's doing this at such a high level, and so Steve, being Steve, he's like, well, maybe I'll provide a service at a reasonable cost to other authors to get this stuff done. And so that's been a huge help to me. I mean,
I was trying to find the link, but I'm only finding his books. Which, in case you don't know Steve, you should know Steve because he's an exceptional human. But let me see if I can share.
I think it's like Higgs Author Services or something. I can send you the actual link.
Yeah, this is his website. We can add it to the show notes, but that's Steve Higgs there. He's a prolific author is an understatement. But yeah, we'll add it to the show notes, the link, in case somebody wants to inquire about Steve's author services. I don't have the link in front of us. But yeah, I'm not even showing the screen. Hang on. I thought I was in the wrong view. Stand by. Here's Steve. Can you see that? No.
No.
I see why. Okay, there we go. That's Steve. I'm sorry. This whole time I thought I was showing you guys Steve. This is Steve. That's better. And so we'll put a little link in the show notes, but he basically shares his wisdom. And if he has a service with assistants who can help, I would definitely recommend that. Sounds like it's been working really well for you.
Yeah. I mean, what I can do myself, I do myself, but then it's a question of time, right? Is my time better spent, balancing work, family, and actually writing, as opposed to doing this stuff? Like some of the stuff I did myself, like the A+ stuff. Well, actually, Steve showed me a lot on how to use Higgsfield, right? So that kind of enabled me how to have the knowledge to how to do this stuff. But
because honestly, that's kind of the whole indie author journey is figuring out what part is your part. What is the thing that you need to spend your time on? And the number one thing, if you're an author, is the writing of the books. Same thing for like when you're in any kind of broadcasting or live streaming. I can do the on-air stuff, but the editing, even though I'm really great at it, doesn't mean I should spend my time doing that, right? And the same thing with your indie author journey. You do the part that only you can do. I mean, okay, yes, AI can write books, but I don't think AI can write books like you can write books. And so try to spend the time doing the things that you're best at, and then, getting a VA or getting assistance to help you. I don't make my covers. I would spend weeks working on covers if I did that. So I hire someone, actually the same person who does Steve's, to do my covers for that very reason, because even though I could do it, I'm really good with graphic design. Even if I spent the time, I would just spend hours and hours and hours, and that's time I should be writing. So yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah, it's a different, path for everybody, but yeah. So, and that's one thing. Like, they can help you do this kind of stuff, and they've been very professional and helpful to me.
That's awesome.
So yeah. Now that I've got
I
a lot of
actually do. Just to kind of finish with that thought about the making the paperbacks, I actually do the formatting myself in Kindle Create, so that I can change it from, I change it from the ebook to the paperback. When I first started, I had someone else do that for me, but then I realized it was like the communication for me to the person doing it, and they are on a Mac and I'm on a PC, and it ended up being there was some weird stuff that didn't work for me. So hiring someone doesn't always work, and I finally realized, I can spend the time and get it done faster. So that's one of those cases where I did get help, and then I decided I took it back because it was just faster for me to do it. So so in other words, you can do it yourself. Ash has someone who's helping him do that, which is awesome, because you wouldn't be able to spend all that time doing all the A+ content and all the video ads and all the things that you are doing, that you're getting quite good at, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's, once again, it's a question of what you want to spend your time with. I mean, like, like Steve has over 150 books, and with all the authors, like the young lady who helped me is converted probably 500 books, from ebook to paperback. So she knows, she's got it down cold, right? And I would probably have spent, I could have done it, but would have probably taken me, for all my books, a month, a month that I could have been writing, right? So, exactly.
That's awesome. Good advice. Well, keep up the great work, and we're learning a ton from you. Now my wheels are turning. I'm like, okay, I saw his awesome A+ content, and now it's time to upgrade mine too.
Yeah. But you get the concepts, right? Like, the panels, and I can show you like what the biggest panels are. Like, you just use the 5 biggest panels. Like, I would have put 6 panels up if Amazon gave me more space. I maximized the space they allowed.
Yeah.
So some people just have a little bit, but the people that I've been talking to, like, they're like, take as much space as you can, because it's yours.
It's great advice. Yeah. And it kind of is handy for me because it's a 5-book series. So as soon as you showed me where it showed the 5 different locations, I'm like, that's 1 book each.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're basically inviting people into your world, right? And
yes.
Showing them what you have.
And showing them what they are going to get when they read your books.
Hopefully, yes.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for sharing all that with us, Ash. I'm really excited to go check it out again and figure out how it applies to me. And I hope whoever's watching, if you're an author, especially an indie author, I highly recommend you go back through some of our shows that Ash shares how to do it. So we go through how to create the A+ content, and I'll link that in the show so you can watch that episode, and then go put your A+ content up there. Don't give away that real estate to a company that doesn't even, they're just going to put somebody else, some other author in there. And you don't want that. You need to claim your real estate. So that's our advice. Have a great week. And we'll see you again next week, everyone. Bye.
Everyone.